What if wolves weren't born whole? What if every kiss, every breath, every heartbeat carried a price no one dared to speak of? Welcome to a world where love is a curse, where hunger never ends, and where even desire has fangs. Here, obsession is sharpened to a blade. Here, passion burns like poison in the blood. Here, the line between monster and lover is swallowed by the dark. Are you ready to step into the hollow pack? And lose yourself in a love that was never meant to exist? The night was alive with hunger. A crimson moon hung low, bleeding light across the forest, and the hollow pack gathered beneath it. Their eyes glimmered like silver blades in the dark, their bodies restless, their howls cutting through the silence. They were not ordinary wolves. They were hollow, cursed, soulless, and tonight, the ritual hunt would decide the fate of their heir. The alpha stepped forward, his voice like thunder rolling through the trees. Bring me a soul, Kael. Prove yourself worthy of the hollow throne. The pack roared as one, their voices splitting the sky, and all eyes fell upon Kael. He stood tall, his shoulders broad, his jaw clenched. The alpha's heir, the boy who had been forged into steel by his father's hand. To them, he looked untouchable, born to lead. But inside, Kael's wolf snarled with restless hunger, and a quiet dread gnawed at him. He had never stolen a soul before. He could not falter. Not tonight. Not with his father watching. The horn sounded. The hunt began. Wolves scattered into the forest, shadows racing through the trees. Kael's senses sharpened, the scent of human blood pulling him deeper into the dark. He followed the trail, his heart hammering in his chest until he saw her. A girl, running barefoot through the woods. Her white dress was torn, her skin scratched by branches, her breaths sharp and uneven. She stumbled, fell, then pushed herself back to her feet, fragile, mortal. And yet, her eyes, when she turned, did not show only fear. There was defiance there, a spark that rooted Kael in place. Then instinct struck. He lunged, his body a blur, and in seconds she was on the ground beneath him, pinned by his strength. She kicked, clawed, screamed, but he was merciless, his hand wrapped around her throat, his silver eyes burning into hers. She was his prey. She was nothing. And yet, he could not ignore the fire in her gaze. Her name was Liora. Kael dragged her back to the ritual ground, the pack circling, eager for the feast. He knelt over her trembling body, baring his fangs. His wolf surged forward, ready to claim what was his. He pressed his mouth to hers, not in a kiss, but in the ritual of the hollow, drawing not breath, but soul. The pack howled around him. Their heir would finally prove himself. But something was wrong. Instead of power flooding through him, pain exploded in his chest. His wolf shrieked inside him, clawing, ripping, breaking. Kael staggered, choking. But Liora, she wasn't fading. She wasn't dying. Her body arched upward, her eyes flickering gold, her breaths growing steady and strong. She was feeding on him. Kael tried to tear himself away, but her grip was iron. Her hand clamped on his wrist, holding him in place as more of his strength poured into her. His wolf howled in agony, being devoured piece by piece. The pack cheered louder, believing their heir was winning, but Kael knew the truth. He was losing everything. Her lips brushed his ear as she whispered, her voice steady, cutting him deeper than claws ever could. You wanted my soul. Now I'm taking yours. Kael's body convulsed, his vision blurred. His wolf thrashed violently, weaker with every heartbeat. He stumbled back, gasping, his body failing. The alpha's heir, destined to rule, destined to lead, collapsed at the feet of the girl who should have been nothing more than prey. The pack froze. Their roars fell into silence. Kael's last vision before the darkness swallowed him was Liora staring down at him, her eyes glowing faint gold, her lips curled in something that wasn't fear, but hunger. Kael's body hit the ground with a heavy thud, the forest spinning as darkness clawed at the edges of his vision. The last thing he saw was the human girl's eyes burning faint gold, her gaze fixed on him with a hunger that did not belong to mortals. Then, everything went black. When he woke, cold air stung his lungs. He was lying on the stone floor of his chamber, stripped of dignity, surrounded by whispers of the pack. They said the hunt had taken too much from him, that even heirs bled when the moon demanded it. No one dared suggest what he already knew. That part of his wolf had been ripped away, consumed by the very prey he had captured. Kael pushed himself upright, his body trembling. His father's stare cut through him like a blade. "Weakness," the Alpha growled, his voice low and dangerous. "The heir of the Hollow Pack does not falter. Fail me again, Kael, and you will not inherit my throne." Kael lowered his head, masking the fire that burned behind his eyes. He would not confess. He would not reveal what happened. If the pack learned that a human had not only resisted but stolen from him, his legacy would be over. But Kael could still feel her. Liora. Every breath he took carried the echo of her, like venom in his veins. His wolf snarled inside him, broken, missing pieces that now lived in her body. She was no ordinary girl. She was something else. Something dangerous. The Hollow Elders gathered the next night, their faces hidden in the shadows of the fire. Their decree was final. A human who survives the hunt must be executed. No mortal may escape the Hollow's teeth. Their words were law. Kael bowed his head, his voice steady, his lie smooth. "The girl is dead. She was weak. She bled beneath me. Her body is ash." The pack murmured, satisfied. Only Kael knew the truth. In secret, he carried Liora down into the hollow catacombs, chaining her to the stone wall of an abandoned chamber. She stared at him as the metal locked around her wrists, her eyes flashing gold in the torchlight. "You're afraid of me," she whispered, her voice too calm. Kael stepped back, fists clenched. "I should kill you. I should end this before anyone finds out." "Then why don't you?" Her words sliced through him, sharper than claws. Her voice was different now, darker, almost like his own kind. His chest tightened as he turned away, locking the chamber doors. He told himself it was control. He told himself it was strategy. But deep down, he knew it was something else, something he couldn't name. Hours later, when Kael returned to check on her, the chains lay shattered on the ground. The room was empty except for the faint scent of her breath lingering in the air. And then, from the shadows behind him, a voice whispered his name. Not in a human's voice, not in fear, but in a wolf's growl. Kael spun toward the sound, every muscle in his body tense. Liora stepped from the shadows, her movements slow, deliberate, her golden-tinged eyes glowing faintly in the dark. The broken chain still hung from her wrists, shattered links clinking softly as they dragged against the stone floor. She didn't lunge at him. She didn't run. She only stared, her lips curling into something caught between a smirk and a snarl. "You locked me away like prey," she whispered, her voice low, edged with something unnatural. "But you can't chain what's already inside you." Kael's chest tightened. His wolf clawed at him, weak, broken, demanding distance. Yet something else inside him pulled the other way, dragging him toward her. He should have killed her. He told himself that over and over. But when she stepped closer, he didn't move. When her hand brushed against his chest, he felt his strength drain, his wolf shuddering as more of him flowed into her. And she trembled, her breath sharp, as if the touch itself filled her veins with fire. Liora gasped and stumbled back, her fingers clawing at her own skin as though her body were burning. "I can feel it," she whispered. "Your wolf, inside me, it's not enough. I need more." Her voice cracked, but it wasn't fear. It was hunger. Hunger for him. Kael's jaw tightened, his breathing ragged. "You're turning into something you don't understand. Every time you touch me, you steal more of what I am. If you keep going, you'll destroy me." Her eyes flashed gold again. "And if I stop," she said softly, "I'll be nothing." For nights, Kael hid her deeper in the catacombs, away from the Elder's eyes. But it wasn't only to protect her, it was to protect himself. Because no matter how hard he tried to resist, he kept returning. Each time, it was worse. A brush of her fingers across his hand, a kiss stolen in the dark. And every time his wolf howled in agony while his human heart drowned in the pull of her. He told himself he hated her, that she was a curse, that she was poison. But when she pressed her lips to his resistance shattered. His body betrayed him, leaning into her hunger. He was addicted to her pull, even as it broke him apart. The pack began to notice. Whispers circled. Kael was slower in combat. His strength faltered during training. Rival wolves smelled weakness and sharpened their teeth, waiting for the moment to tear him down. But none of that frightened him as much as Liora did, because she was changing. Her skin burned with heat that wasn't human. Her gaze lingered too long. Her words cut sharper, sounded less like prey and more like predator. And one night, when she pressed against him in the dark, trembling with hunger, she whispered the words that froze his blood. "Kiss me again, Kael. You know it could kill you. And I want you to." Kael's chest still burned from the weight of her words. Her lips were red from his kiss, her golden eyes glowing faint in the torchlight. He staggered back, heart racing, knowing he had given her more of himself again. His wolf was restless, clawing to the surface, demanding distance. But his human side ached to stay. The pull between them was becoming unbearable. He knew it, she knew it, and now the pack was starting to know it too. Whispers spread among the wolves like wildfire. The alpha's Heir had grown weaker. His strikes during training no longer split stone. His speed faltered during the hunts. Rivals grinned in secret, sensing blood in the water. And the elders, ancient and hollow-eyed, began to murmur of failure. One evening, as Kael stood before the council fire, the eldest among them fixed him with a stare like sharpened bone. "Strength fades in you, Heir," the old wolf hissed. "If rot has entered your blood, we will find it." Kael forced his face to remain cold, expressionless, even as his gut twisted. He knew what their words meant. Spies. They would send their shadows to follow him. That night he dragged Liora deeper into the hollow catacombs, far beneath the stone halls where the living seldom dared walk. The air grew damp, heavy with the scent of decay and forgotten rituals. Carvings lined the walls, ancient runes gouged into the rock. He pushed her forward, shackling her to a hidden chamber none of the pack had used in centuries. Leora's eyes caught the glow of the torchlight. Her gaze lingered not on him, but on the carvings above the chamber door. She tilted her head, lips moving as she traced the symbols with her eyes. "I can read this," she whispered. Kael frowned. "Impossible. These words are older than your kind." But she spoke them aloud anyway, her voice low and steady. "The devourer will rise and the hollow will fall." The air thickened with silence. Kael's chest constricted. The words felt like claws raking across his bones. He turned to her sharply. "Where did you learn that?" Liora only met his stare, the faint glow in her eyes brighter now. "I didn't learn it. It's inside me, like your wolf." For the first time, true fear gripped Kael. He had hidden her from the elders, lied to his father, convinced himself he was in control. But this was bigger. If she was tied to a prophecy, then she wasn't just a threat to him. She was a weapon that could unmake the hollow pack itself. He stepped closer, his hands trembling though he willed them steady. "If they discover you, they will kill us both." Her lips curved in something that wasn't quite a smile. "Then don't let them." But already Kael could feel it. The faint shift of air, the quiet scrape of claws against stone. His wolf stiffened, sensing danger. He turned, nostrils flaring, and caught the faintest trace of foreign scent. The elders' spies had followed him. And now, their shadows were crawling through the tunnels. In the silence, Liora's chains rattled once. The torchlight flickered, and in the far corner of the chamber, Kael saw them. 3 pairs of glowing eyes, fixed directly on the girl he was trying to keep hidden. The glowing eyes in the chamber moved first. 3 spies, silent as shadows, stepped into the torchlight. Their faces were expressionless, their claws dripping with anticipation. They did not speak. They did not need to. Their orders were clear. If the Heir was hiding weakness, if prey still lived in the catacombs, they were to erase it. Kael stepped in front of Liora, his body tense, his chest rising and falling like a storm locked inside. His wolf tried to rise, but it faltered, broken, weaker than it had ever been. He clenched his fists, forcing his voice steady. "She is mine. You will not touch her." The lead spy tilted his head, lips curling in a cruel grin. "Then you are already lost." They lunged. Kael met them with steel in his veins, but his wolf betrayed him. His claws dulled halfway through shifting, his muscles burned as if weighed down by chains. He struck, but the blow lacked power. The spies forced him back with ease, driving him toward the chamber wall. One broke past him, charging for Liora. The moment the wolf reached her, everything changed. Liora's body snapped taut, her eyes flashing gold, her breath trembling with hunger. She raised her chained hands, and Kael's power roared out of her like fire set free. The spy froze mid-step, choking, his body convulsing as invisible claws ripped through his flesh. His scream echoed through the stone halls before his body collapsed into dust and bone. The other 2 froze, horror flashing in their eyes. Kael staggered, gasping, watching as she turned her gaze on the others. Her lips parted, a low sound spilling out, not human, not wolf, but something far more dangerous. The second spy lunged anyway. Too late. Liora unleashed another surge, and Kael's stolen strength tore through the chamber like a storm. Stone cracked, blood sprayed. The spies were ripped apart, their bodies thrown lifeless against the walls. Silence followed, broken only by the sound of her breathing. Hungry, desperate, almost ecstatic. Kael stood frozen, chest heaving, horror nodding with something darker. He should have been terrified. He should have killed her then and there. But the sight of her glowing eyes, her trembling body still humming with his wolf inside her, it ignited something he couldn't name. His fear tangled with desire, and he hated himself for it. Liora's chain snapped, falling uselessly to the ground. She took a step toward him, her hands trembling, her lips parted like she wanted to speak, but no words came, only a sharp inhale as though she craved him again. Kael reached for her, then stopped, pulling his hand back. His chest burned with shame. "You don't know what you've done," he whispered. "The pack will know. The elders will see the blood. They'll come for us both." Liora's eyes softened, but her smile did not fade. "Then let them come." Before Kael could answer, a heavy shadow fell across the chamber doorway. A figure stepped inside, his claws wet, dripping scarlet onto the stone floor. One of the hollow elders. His voice rasped like broken glass, low and cruel. "Tell me, Heir, where are the spies who followed you?" Kael's blood went cold at the elder's voice. The torchlight flickered against the figure's hollow eyes, his claws dripping a crimson trail across the floor. The elder's stare lingered on the broken chains, on the cracked stone walls, on Kael's trembling hands. "I smell death," the elder rasped. "I smell betrayal." Kael forced his breathing to steady, though his wolf was still shattered from what had happened. He stepped forward, blocking the elder's view of Liora, and bowed his head just enough to mimic respect without surrender. "The spies challenged me," he said evenly. "They questioned my strength. I silenced them. Their bodies are ash, nothing more." The elder's eyes narrowed. "And the scent of prey, still fresh?" Kael's jaw tightened. He let the silence stretch, then bared his teeth in a slow, dangerous grin. "Perhaps it is yours. You grow old, elder. Your senses falter." A hiss rippled from the shadows, but Kael did not break. The elder studied him, claws flexing, before finally retreating a single step. If weakness rots you, Heir, it will show, and when it does, I will carve it out myself. With that, he vanished into the dark, leaving only the stench of blood behind. Kael collapsed against the wall the moment he was gone, sweat dripping down his temple. His wolf was trembling, broken, barely holding him upright. He turned, ready to tell Liora to stay hidden, but her eyes were blazing at him, brighter than before, furious. "You used me," she spat, her voice trembling with rage. "You've been using me since the moment you realized I was keeping you alive. Every time I touch you, I lose a piece of myself. I'm not human anymore, Kael. And you," her voice cracked, her lips curling in disgust. "You're feeding on my humanity the same way I feed on your wolf." Her words cut deeper than the elder's threat. Kael staggered closer, his voice low, desperate. "No, you don't understand. I swore to protect you, even against them, even against myself." But she laughed bitterly, shaking her head. "Protect me? You keep me chained. You keep me hidden. You're not protecting me, Kael. You're keeping your throne alive. You'd let me rot in the dark as long as you stayed Heir." He reached for her, but she shoved him back. The bond between them seared hotter than ever, violent, burning, twisted between hunger and hatred. He grabbed her wrist, pulling her against him, his lips inches from hers. "I can't let you go. I won't." Her golden eyes burned into his. For a moment, desire and fury tangled, their breath sharp, their bodies trembling with the pull of each other. It was fire and poison, obsession and destruction. Then, without warning, she tore herself free. The blood moon rose higher in the sky, its light spilling into the chamber. Liora's body trembled, her wolf side pulsing stronger with every second. She turned, her lips curling in defiance. "You swore to protect me, then protect me from this," she whispered, before fleeing into the night. Kael lunged after her, but the moment her body broke through the tree line, the hollow pack lifted their heads. They smelled her. They saw the shimmer of gold in her eyes. And in the silence that followed, the pack howled as one. The hunt was on. The forest split with howls as the blood moon burned overhead. Shadows raced between the trees, fangs bared, claws raking bark, the hollow wolves surging forward as one. Their prey was no longer human, no longer just a girl. She was something between, something dangerous. And they wanted her torn apart before the curse spread. Liora ran, her lungs on fire, her bare feet striking earth and stone. Every breath tore through her chest, yet with every step, the wolf inside her twisted stronger, warping her body. Her nails lengthened into claws, her eyes burned molten gold, her spine arched with a crack of bone. She stumbled, gasping, as fur bristled along her arms, then faded, leaving her shuddering, half-changed, a creature caught between two worlds. She clutched at her chest, fighting it back, but the hunger was overwhelming. She could smell the pack. She could taste their blood before it spilled. A growl tore from her throat, hers, and not hers. Behind her, Kael moved through the trees, his body tense, his eyes locked on her. The pack surged past him, blind with bloodlust, but he kept to the shadows, his heart pounding. If they caught her, she was dead. If they caught him protecting her, he was finished too. Yet his wolf, even broken, screamed at him to shield her. The chase thundered deeper into the woods, until the trees broke into ruins, the crumbling skeleton of an old human village, its stones cracked, its walls covered in moss. Liora staggered into the wreckage, collapsing against the remains of a well, her body trembling as the stolen wolf energy tore her apart. Kael caught up, dragging her into the shadows just as two hollow wolves streaked past, their snarls echoing into the night. "Stay down," he hissed, holding her by the shoulders. Her skin burned hot under his grip, her eyes blazing. She shoved him back, her voice raw, broken. "Why are you here, Kael? To finish what you started? To drain me dry before they do?" He shook his head, jaw tight. If I wanted you dead, you'd be ash already." Liora laughed bitterly, clutching her chest as another growl ripped through her. "No. You keep me alive because you need me. Without me, your wolf would already be gone." Kael's teeth clenched, but before he could answer, her eyes flicked to the stones around them. Strange carvings were etched into the walls, symbols older than any human hand. She reached out, her fingers trembling as she traced the grooves. These ruins, they're not human at all. Kael froze, staring at the markings. He knew them. He had seen them carved into the bones of his own bloodline, warnings etched into the very history of the Hollow Pack. He swallowed hard, the truth clawing at his throat. Liora turned to him, her voice sharp, cutting. "This curse, this hunger you carry, it didn't come from the moon. It didn't come from the gods. It came from you, from your family, from your blood." Kael's chest tightened. He wanted to deny it. He wanted to silence her. But the words were true, and the ruins themselves bore witness. Before he could speak, the ground trembled beneath their feet. A heavy shadow fell across the ruins. The air grew colder, heavier. Liora turned, her body stiffening, her eyes wide. At the edge of the broken village stood the Hollow Alpha himself, Kael's father. His eyes glowed like fire through the night, his claws dripping fresh blood, his presence crushing the air like stone. "Son," his voice rumbled deep and merciless, "you've been keeping secrets." Kael's father demands Liora's execution, calling her the Devourer. Kael refuses, finally defying the pack openly. Father and son clash in a brutal fight, but Kael is too weak to win. Liora intervenes, draining the Alpha mid-battle, saving Kael but marking herself as the Hollow Pack's greatest enemy. Cliffhanger. The Alpha falls to his knees, snarling Kael's name in rage before collapsing. The ruins trembled beneath the Alpha's voice, every word carrying the weight of command, of centuries of blood and terror. His eyes cut through Kael like a blade, then slid to Liora, crouched behind the broken stones, her gold-tinged eyes burning in the dark. "The Devourer," the Alpha growled, his lips curling back to reveal teeth like daggers. "She should not exist. End her, Kael. Prove to me you are my son." Kael's heart pounded in his chest. His wolf strained inside him, broken but still bound by instinct to obey. Yet his body stayed rooted in place. He couldn't move, couldn't bring himself to raise his hand against her. "She is mine," Kael said at last, his voice low, but steady. "I won't kill her." The Alpha's expression hardened. "Then you are nothing. You shame my bloodline. You are no heir of mine." He moved like thunder. One instant he stood at the edge of the ruins. The next his claws were inches from Kael's throat. Kael blocked the strike, the impact jarring through his bones, but the force sent him staggering back, crashing into a stone wall that cracked beneath the blow. "Fight me," his father roared, "or die as a traitor." Kael bared his teeth, forcing his broken wolf to rise. Claws snapped through his hands, his body trembling with effort. He lunged, striking with every ounce of strength left to him. For a heartbeat, claws met claws, son against father. The air split with snarls. But Kael was weaker. Too weak. His father's strikes landed like hammer blows, tearing through his defenses. Blood spilled across the stones, each breath harder to take than the last. His wolf howled inside him, not with power, but with pain. The Alpha slammed him to the ground, claws poised above his chest, ready to end it. "You will not defy me, boy." Then the air shifted. A golden light flared. Liora rose from behind the stones, her body trembling, her eyes blazing brighter than the moon itself. She screamed, not in fear but in hunger, and threw herself at the Alpha. Her hands seized his arm, her mouth pressed against his skin, and she drank. The Alpha snarled, thrashing, but it was too late. His power poured into her in a torrent, his strength unraveling as hers surged. His howl split the night, shaking the ruins to dust as his body weakened beneath her grip. Kael stared in horror, in awe, in something darker. He should have stopped her, he should have feared her. But he couldn't move, couldn't look away. The alpha staggered, ripping himself free, collapsing to his knees. His chest heaved, his claws dragging across the stone, his eyes burning with rage, locked on Kael. "You let this happen," he snarled, his voice raw, trembling with fury. "You betrayed your blood." Then, with one final shudder, the alpha fell forward, crashing into the ruins, the earth trembling beneath his weight. The silence that followed was thick, suffocating. Kael's father lay beaten, not by his son, but by the girl the pack would now see as their greatest enemy. Liora stood over the body, her chest rising and falling, her eyes glowing gold, her lips stained with power she was never meant to hold. And in the distance the hollow wolves howled. The alpha's body still lay heavy in the ruins when the howls reached them. One by one, the hollow wolves emerged from the forest, their silver eyes blazing with fury and fear. Some bared their fangs at Kael, spitting curses of treason. Others froze at the sight of Liora, their growls faltering as the golden fire in her gaze burned back at them. Whispers rippled through the pack like a storm. "The Heir betrayed us. The Devourer walks among us. The curse has taken flesh." Kael dragged Liora to his side, blood dripping from his wounds, his voice raw. "Stay behind me." But the wolves did not move forward, half-circled with murder in their eyes, ready to tear Kael apart for his defiance. The other half hung back, trembling, as if Liora were something far worse than death itself. Then the first wolf spoke, his voice trembling with rage. "Kill him. Kill them both before the curse spreads." Another snarled back, "No. If she can drain the alpha himself, who among us can stop her?" The pack fractured, their unity crumbling. Some howled for Kael's blood, others for Liora's chains. And in the chaos, Kael saw the only path left. He seized Liora's hand, pulling her through the ruins, deeper into the shadows of the forest. Their enemies' snarls followed, but none dared close the gap. Not yet. They ran until the moonlight thinned and the trees grew thick, until only the sound of their ragged breathing filled the night. Kael collapsed against a tree, chest heaving, blood streaking his jaw. Liora crouched beside him, her body still humming with stolen power, her eyes fever-bright. "You should have let me die," she whispered, her voice low and trembling. "Now I can't stop it. Every breath, every heartbeat. I can feel it leaving you and filling me." Kael grabbed her wrist, pulling her closer, his voice rough. "I don't care what it takes. You're mine, Liora. Do you hear me? You're mine." Her lips parted, defiance and hunger warring in her gaze. And then, in the dark, she kissed him. Not the kiss of prey or predator, but something desperate, something consuming. His wolf shrieked in pain, his body weakening further, but his heart thundered with want. When they finally broke apart, her eyes glowed brighter, her hands trembling against his chest. "I don't feel human anymore," she confessed. "Not since you. Not since this bond." Kael's breath hitched, his chest hollow, but he still pulled her into his arms, as if holding her could anchor what remained of him. That night, when exhaustion finally dragged him into sleep, the bond followed him into his dreams. He saw her there, standing above him, golden eyes burning like fire, her hands dripping with his blood. His body lay lifeless at her feet, hollow, empty, while she smiled down at him with hunger and triumph. Kael jolted awake, his chest tight, his wolf whimpering in the dark. And beside him, Liora slept peacefully, her lips curved in the faintest trace of a smile. Kael could still feel the dream clinging to him like frost on his skin. Liora's golden eyes above his corpse, her smile painted with his blood. It replayed over and over, as if his wolf wanted him to remember that this bond was not love but death. Beside him, she stirred. At first only a soft groan left her lips. Then her body jerked, violent, her back arching as though fire tore through her veins. Kael reached for her, but the moment his hand touched her arm, she screamed, a sound that was not human, not wolf, but something hollow and endless. Her body convulsed, her bones cracking beneath her skin, claws snapping from her fingers before retracting, her eyes burning gold one moment, black the next. She clutched her chest, gasping. It's too much, she choked. I can't stop it. I can't stop you inside me. Kael's heart pounded. He pulled her against him, though her body burned like fire in his arms. You're stronger than this. You have to hold on. But even as he said it, he felt the truth gnawing at him. Every time they touched, every kiss they shared, the line between them blurred. His wolf was bleeding into her, and she was drowning in it. The forest rustled, and shadows slipped from the trees. The hollow elders emerged, their eyes pale, their bodies wrapped in black cloaks, their presence like knives in the night. They had followed the scent of chaos here, and their voices slithered like venom. We told you, the eldest croaked, his hollow eyes locked on Liora. The devourer would rise. She was never human, Kael. She was made for you. Kael's fists clenched. What are you saying? Another elder stepped forward, claws gleaming. The curse was never meant to last forever. It was meant to end with you. And so the devourer was born, your mate, your punishment, your end. Liora's breathing quickened, her body trembling harder with every word. Her gaze flicked between Kael and the elders, her lips trembling as though torn between begging for help and baring her teeth. She is your mate, the elder hissed, and she is your executioner. The words cracked something inside Kael. The bond had always felt like fire, like poison, like obsession sharpened to a blade, but to hear it spoken aloud, to know it had been designed by blood and fate, it made his chest ache with fury. No, Kael growled, stepping in front of Liora. She is not my executioner. She is mine. But behind him, Liora convulsed again. Her scream shattered the night, her golden eyes blazing brighter than the moon itself. Her claws tore through the dirt as her wolf side surged forward, breaking free, unstoppable. Liora, Kael whispered, his voice raw, desperate. She lifted her head slowly, her gaze locking onto his. No trace of humanity left. And then, with a snarl, she lunged at him. Her snarl split the night as she slammed into him, claws raking across his chest. Pain tore through Kael, hot and jagged, blood soaking into his tunic. His wolf howled inside him, demanding he strike back, but he held himself still, arms wrapping around her instead of tearing her away. Her claws sank deeper, his body buckled beneath her weight. Still, he didn't fight. Liora, he whispered, voice hoarse, blood dripping from his lips. It's me. You're still in there. You're not the devourer. You're mine. For a heartbeat, she froze. Her claws trembled where they pierced his skin. Her golden eyes flickered, softening, cracking under the sound of her name. A sob escaped her throat, low and broken, tangled in a growl. Then she wrenched herself back, horror twisting across her face. Her hands, wet with his blood, shook violently, as if she'd only just realized what she had done. No, she whispered, voice shattering. I can't stop. Every time I touch you, I want more. If I stay, I'll kill you. Kael staggered forward, his body weak, but his voice sharp with desperation. Then let me die for you. Don't run from me. Her gaze lingered on him, tortured, torn between hunger and love. Then with a choked breath, she turned and fled into the trees, her body blurring into shadows. Liora! Kael roared, stumbling after her, his chest on fire. He couldn't let her go. Not when he knew what would happen if she was alone. Without him, the wolf inside her would consume everything she had left. Without him, she would become the devourer. Branches tore at his skin as he ran, following the sound of her steps, the scent of her fear, the golden flickers of her eyes in the dark. But she was faster now, fueled by hunger, by power that was no longer just hers. And then, silence. Kael froze. The forest was too still, the night too quiet. He raised his head, nostrils flaring, and his stomach twisted as another scent filled the air. The hollow pack. Wolves emerged from the shadows, their eyes cold, their claws dripping with menace. Liora stood bound in their grip, struggling, snarling, her golden eyes blazing like fire. They had caught her, and even her stolen strength could not break their hold. One of the elders stepped forward, his grin cruel. "The devourer has been taken. Her end will come at the blood moon. The curse will be broken, and your betrayal will die with her." Kael's wolf howled inside him, broken but defiant. His fists clenched, his body shaking with rage as he stared at her. His mate, his curse, his everything, dragged into the dark by the very pack that had raised him. And for the first time, he knew the truth. If he didn't stop them, the next blood moon would not only kill her, it would destroy what was left of him. The blood moon rose heavy and full, spilling crimson light across the clearing where the hollow pack had gathered. Their howls filled the night, vibrating through the bones of the earth. In the center, bound in chains etched with runes older than time, Liora knelt, her body trembling, her eyes blazing gold as she struggled against the pull of the ritual. The elders surrounded her, their voices chanting, calling for the devourer to be destroyed. Kael moved through the shadows like a storm waiting to break. His chest still bore her scars, his wolf weak, barely alive inside him. But his heart burned, steady and unyielding. He saw her kneeling under the blood moon, her lips parted in gasps of pain, and in that moment he knew. He would not fight the pack. He would not fight fate. He would give her everything. He burst into the circle, wolves snarling, claws flashing, but none fast enough to stop him. His father's throne had already crumbled, the pack divided, broken. None of it mattered. Only she did. "Kael." Liora's voice cracked, a mixture of relief and terror. "Go, they'll kill you." He dropped to his knees before her, ignoring the wolves closing in, ignoring the elders' snarls. His blood dripped onto the runes, searing them, breaking their glow. He cupped her face in his hands, his voice a whisper against the chaos. "Then let them, because without you, I am already dead." And before she could resist, before she could scream, he pressed his lips to hers. It wasn't a kiss of hunger, it wasn't a kiss of desire, it was surrender. His wolf surged up one final time, howling in pain, in love, in release, and poured into her. Every shred of strength, every piece of him, willingly given. Liora gasped as the power hit her, her body arching, the chains shattering around her. Her scream ripped the night apart as Kael's wolf vanished inside her. For a moment the world burned gold and red, the pack collapsing under the weight of the curse breaking. The hollow wolves fell to the ground, clutching their chests, as the void inside them filled for the first time. The curse was shattered. They were freed. Kael fell back, his chest hollow, his body trembling. He expected death, emptiness, nothing. Instead, silence. And then her body crumpled into his arms. She was no longer human, no longer wolf. Her skin shimmered faintly, her veins glowing with something unnatural, her body both fragile and powerful, terrifying and beautiful. She was something new, something the world had never seen. He held her close, his breath shallow, his heart breaking as her stillness pressed against him. For a long moment, he thought she was gone. Then slowly, her eyes opened. They glowed brighter than they ever had, molten gold spilling from her gaze. She looked at him, her lips curving into a smile that was not entirely hers, not entirely human. Her voice, low and possessive, cut through him like a blade. "Now you are mine." The blood moon burned above, and the story of the hollow pack ended. Or perhaps it had only just begun.